I think it's that one he went over the Falcons. I think that was a pretty
Is it?
good deal. 28-3. Yeah, he was suspended.
Convertible's pretty cool, Tom.
I'm just always struck by when they show the hand. I don't know if we can pull up that photo again, but you know how big Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette's hands are, and the ring is still so completely ridiculous. Funny? Like that's a ring pop.
It covers.
Okay? I don't know where you're ever going to wear that.
One of those rings covers 3 of my fingers. I'm not exaggerating. It is unbelievable. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, do it again. It's time for the lead block.
It's time for the lead block.
You got competition there in the NFC. Kyle, the Cowboys had their first on-field practice yesterday in Oxnard, California. Our very own James Slater was on the scene. The offense back together with Dak Prescott. It's good to see. Makes you feel good. And there was a new, I guess, noticeably slimmer, everybody's calling it out, a slimmer version of Zeke Elliott. Kyle, as you know, it's the time of year for that.
It's huge. Everybody is in the best shape of their life. Everyone is on a plant-based diet. Par for the course.
And he was asked yesterday, what's he weighing in at these days?
Yeah, I'm like 218 right now. So, you know, I've heard, you know, as you get older in this league, you want to start losing weight. And nutrition, you know, has played a big part of that. Shout out to my Chef Hoppy. You know, he's been getting me right and getting me lean and getting me ready for the season. But, you know, I feel good where I am, and, yeah.
Last time you took 218?
Freshman year of college.
Okay, so back to his college weight. Nate, we talked about him yesterday. It was his 26th birthday, just yesterday on July 22nd. We talked about how he has to answer the bell. What do you make of his new trimmer look?
Happy birthday, Zeke. We love it. We love it on this show because we've been very critical of Ezekiel Elliot because he started off so good. And we thought, oh, this dude is going to dominate year in and year out. And then last season, everything went bad. He looked a little sluggish. He was dropping the ball and fumbling all over the place. But I think he realizes at this age, the faster and more explosive I am, the better I'm going to be on the field. There's a difference between being built for speed and just being built for greed. There's a difference between being built for quickness and being built for thickness. There's a difference between being built to be fast and just bulking up to last. And I honestly feel like Ezekiel Elliott is looking in the mirror and realizing, I'd rather be quick in and out of these cuts. I'd rather be able to see a hole, hit the hole, and then run past a linebacker, safety, or corner and score a touchdown versus just bulldoze my way for 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Kyle's been talking about it for the last couple of years. Before we actually realized that Ezekiel Elliott wasn't as explosive, as fast as he was when he first got in the league, our resident running back was telling us, take a look at him. He doesn't look the same. And I feel like Zeke has been hearing those things, and it's changed the way he trained this offseason, Tom.
Last night I just was Googling running back best shape of my life, and you would be amazed the results.
I love that.
Players. Sometimes it was a guy who ended up having a great season. Le'Veon Bell dropped a bunch of weight his second year, had a fantastic season. David Johnson went vegan that one year, lost a ton of weight, couldn't put it
Arian
back
Foster
on.
did it too.
Right away. Let me ask you this, Nate. You played in the league. Did a guy ever come back to camp and he's like, best shape of my life, down 20 pounds, and you look at him like,
yeah,
I don't know if this was a good idea.
Yeah, no doubt. There's a couple of times guys would come back and they say, I feel good, I'm slim, I'm trim, this is the best shape I've ever been in. And they couldn't handle the wear and tear of camp. They were injured before the season even started. Sometimes you need a little bit of that weight, that girth, that thickness to go out there and bang. And he's a running back as well. But the thing about Zeke, even though he's had some physical moments, he isn't just an old school 80s running back. You can avoid contact and still be explosive. A prime example of that is Alvin Kamara. Like, he doesn't have to run over guys to be dominant, and I think Zeke can take a page out of his book.
And one thing that I know that the Cowboys staff was happy with was, despite all the issues, the fumbling and everything else Zeke Elliott had last year, kept working, kept trying to fix bad habits, which is encouraging for them when they look at what Zeke can be now going forward in 2021.
That's a great word, encouraging. Now, I'm very in on the satire of this time of year, of all the stuff we're talking. It's funny and it's amusing, and everyone's sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber and they lost weight and all that. And normally I don't give a damn. For this particular player, I think it's huge. Because, Nate, what you were getting at, the word I've used for 2 years now is plodding. Plodding, P-L-O-D-D-I-N-G. Zeke runs, and it's kind of just slow and thick, and there's not that burst, like out the gates, go. This could make a big difference for this guy, because I do think he needs to drop the weight. And I love that, this is the thing, not only did he say I'm back to my college weight, he said I'm back to my freshman year in college weight. That's before he started eating cereal for dinner and late night cheesy bread and all that. Let's look at some Zeke, because do you remember, Nate, to your point, this was not a high contact running back in college. This was a game breaker. Like, he would go 80 yards. Give me some Zeke, for goodness sake. Now look, That is a really trim running back. And he would go with the midriff and everything because, like, there is not an ounce of fat on that thing. This is young Columbus, Ohio Zeke, super slim, super fast. The idea that he is like, 5 yards in a cloud of dust, Like, he will hit a home run. So somebody else says they lose weight. Sure, great. This guy looks like a wide receiver. I honestly think this person, Ezekiel Elliot, has not had the 20-plus yard runs. He has not had the explosive runs. I think the weight drop is actually a really, really big deal for him. Yeah. I'm thrilled. I'm impressed. Now keep it off. Because, Oxnard, California is not necessarily known for a health town, all right? Be careful. Keep it off. It's early, but I think it matters.
What were you pointing at the screen? Just how
his shoe was off. He was literally running out of his shoes. That's how fast he was back in the day.
It's another half
Am I going to be the wet blanket town that brings up the health of the offensive line and how it all wasn't on Zeke and his issues that he was working on? I mean, the offensive line has to stay healthy, too. You don't care about that at all?
No, it's okay.
Tell me as a running back, is it important? Lyle Collins, of course, wasn't there. He missed the entire season. Tyrann Mathieu missed most of it. Yeah. Zach Martin missed significant amounts of time. So how much of a factor with the style that he runs
it's a great question.
has to do with the offensive line? It's boring, but it's really not all Zeke. Zeke's problems are not all Zeke in this offense. Because when he was crazy good, the offensive line was crazy stout.
Offensive line can help him hold on to that ball, though.
No, but hold on. I disagree. I disagree. Because I think as a running back, when you continue to get hit in the backfield, I think it starts to wear you down psychologically. I think sometimes you determine that runs are over before they are. And I actually do think it can be a factor in fumbling because you're taking hits. You're taking hits earlier. So, look, he's got to keep the ball up here, and you know that. But I also think Zeke psychologically has been a little flaky at times. And if he gets a little attitude because he's getting sick of being hit in the backfield because his line isn't that good, that could factor into it for sure.
Well said. I think I said Tyrann Mathieu instead of Tyron Smith. Apologies there. I'm being a little flaky this morning, but it's early and it's a Friday. Zeke could be a huge factor. We all know that. We have big expectations. He's got to answer that bell. What's the one thing you think could ultimately decide, though, the NFC East? This is an intriguing and, dare I say, Nate, entertaining division.
How about Jalen Hurts? We don't know exactly what he's going to be, but we do know that he's exciting. He came in and all of a sudden we were talking about getting rid of Carson Wentz, who at one point was like Jesus in Philadelphia. Yep. I mean, my dude was not just walking on grass, he was walking on water. But Jalen Hurts has been exciting to see, and I think the potential for what he could be that has all of the fans kind of gassed up for the season. And what I do love is that he's so young that he can create this chemistry with Devontae Smith that could last a long time. So I'm not saying he's going to be the best quarterback in the NFC East. What I do know is if he does come in with his mind right, he could end up flipping the table over.
I think he's the most intriguing quarterback in the NFC.
Lots of unknown.
So much unknown. This guy could be a superstar. We don't know. Or it might not work out. And I'll go the polar opposite for mine. A lot known on Ryan Fitzpatrick. A lot. And here's your wet blanket. Is this thing going to work out? He comes out and says, the best role I've ever had, the best setup I've ever had. You don't get it this late in your career for Ryan Fitzpatrick where you're starting for a playoff team. It just doesn't happen. So what does happen, though, is that we get very excited about Fitz, and he's a great character, and he's got a beard, he went to Harvard, he's got a lot of kids, and we celebrate that stuff. The thing that we're easily overlooking is that, Fitz goes down in flames a lot. And I say this objectively, but there have been many times he's been in a real nice position. Guys, 2015, this Jets team was really good. This is week 17. If they win, they're in the playoffs. Just win the game, you're in the playoffs. He throws 3 interceptions. All 3 of the interceptions were in the fourth quarter. Oof. That's part of the Fitzmagic experience. Don't get me wrong. 2016, he lost 24-3. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 6 interceptions in the game, guys. 6. So he has this sort of dollar store Brett Favre thing going on where he's a gunslinger. This is a couple of years ago. Early on in the season, just so many picks, so many mistakes. We love, but you live and die by the Fitz. So
100%.
The idea that, this is it. We're just going to ride it out to 11-6 and Fitz to the playoffs and he'll start every game. I don't think so. We had a lot of years that say it won't. If he can be consistent, they will roll. How can you buy it, Tom, at this point? It's the up and down. That's who he is, and we love him for it.
We talk so much about the quarterbacks in this division, and rightly so, between Jalen Hurts or Fitz, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, too. How about a coach? Jason Garrett. All the excuses of we didn't have enough weapons and the turmoil on the offensive line. They've already changed offensive line coaches twice in the past year. Now, all of a sudden, you give him Kenny Galladay, and you draft Kadarius Toney, and you give him Kyle Rudolph, and Daniel Jones has another year. Saquon Barkley's coming back. the focus is going to be on Jason Garrett, because guess what? You fired the offensive line coach twice.
Yeah.
If this thing doesn't go well, the only guy left to go is you. So Jason Garrett, how he utilizes all those new weapons, how he continues the development of Daniel Jones, it's going to be huge for this division and this team.
Isn't it just Daniel Jones, though? Like, if you really think about it, top 10 defense, we all love and gush about how they rebuilt the roster. We love the coach. You know, Garrett's done his thing. What if Daniel Jones is good, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
That's the factor to me. That decides the NFC. That's my simple question to you. What if he's good? What if he does take that mega dictionary definition Josh Allen-like leap? What do you think?
If he takes the Josh jump, they're winning the East. But that's a big jump, and I don't think he showed as much as Josh did in year 2. So, Dan, look, this is why this division is great. All 4 of these guys, we didn't even mention Dak, can determine this thing. I think Dallas is the front runner.
Yeah.
And if one of these Daniel Jones or Jalen Hurts or Fitzpatrick jumps up and gets him, it's anybody's division.
Daniel Jones, don't let Jalen Hurts be better than you. Don't let him be the buzzy name in the NFCs. Don't do it. All right, Tom. Big news yesterday. The NFL sent out a memo. All 32 teams received it on the new COVID-19 protocols for 2021. Tell us everything.
Okay, the big headline in this memo that went out to clubs, which covered competitive as well as medical plans for this season, was that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the existing 18-week season because of a COVID outbreak among unvaccinated players, the team with that outbreak will forfeit the game.
Oh, wow.
They will take a loss for playoff seeding. The other team will get a win. The team with the outbreak also would be responsible for covering the other team's added costs. The visiting team share, which is basically the money that goes into the pool, you would have to cover any deficit in that. It makes abundantly clear the burden is going to be on clubs to make sure that they can play their games on time. In fact, in bold-faced type in there, it says, we do not anticipate playing a 19th week to make up postponed games. And of course, last year, there was a lot of movement, but they managed to play everything in what was at that time a 17-week regular season. But they always had that idea, hey, if we need to make it up, we'll do week 18.
Right.
They're sending the message a few days before camp. If games get canceled, we're not making them up. If there are vaccinated individuals and they have an outbreak, the league will accommodate it. Unvaccinated individuals, it's a fairly clear message. We're not going to bend over backwards to make this work. So the NFL, as we know, they're not requiring technically players to get the vaccine, but they've
Correct.
continued to incentivize it. And this is about the biggest thing that you could possibly do, saying if you have an outbreak among unvaccinated individuals, your team loses the game.
Lots of players chiming in on one side or the other all day long. You guys can chime in at GMFB. Thank you, Tom, for being,